In the southwest of Hiroshima Prefecture, facing the Seto Inland Sea, lies the city of Kure. Once acclaimed as the greatest naval port in the Orient, it was here that the largest battleship in history, the Yamato, was also constructed. In this place, the Kawajiri brush is produced. It is counted among the 4 major brush-producing regions, including Kumano, Nara, and Toyohashi. Especially valuable are those made from the precious hair of goats, known as wool brushes, which have flexible tips, good resilience, and excellent ink retention, as well as being excellent for holding ink. This is achieved by uniformly kneading the hair together, which is favored by many calligraphers. The Kawajiri brush began to be produced in the late Edo period. Originally, brushes were made for agricultural use. Eventually, the technique for making wool brushes was established. Nestled in the mountains lies Kawajiri town, the hometown of brushes. Here, a single brush workshop has been passed down through generations. While many brushes are produced through a division of labor, Mr. Yoshiyuki Hata personally completes fully customized brushes for each calligrapher. If there are 10 people, each one has different pressures and habits.
10人おられたら全部筆圧とか癖が全部違うんですよね。先生に応じた一本の筆を作ってるんですよね。
And his achievements have been recognized with the Suiho Tanko Prize. One of those who use Hata's brushes is Mr. Tsuyomoto Dayun, who has served as the executive director of the All Japan Calligraphy Association, among other roles. Craftsmanship is very meticulous, and they're lifelong items.
作りがね、非常に丁寧であるのと、手質。これがすごい一生もんなんですよ。こういう筆は。一生使えるですね。筆は嘘つかないんです。
Inheriting that skill is Brushmaker Ko-Tsuyoshi Hata.
やはり僕が作った時点ではあくまでも筆なんですけれども、そこから使い手の方に渡ってそこでさまざまな意味を持つと思います。大切な人へ思いをしたためるものであったり、作品を描くものであったり、そこで本当に意味を与えてもらえるものだと思います。
Since childhood, Ko-Tsuyoshi dreamed of becoming a brushmaker. But he once gave up on that dream. After graduating from university, he became an apprentice to his father, Mr. Yoshiyuki Hata, but his father suffered a serious neck injury in an accident.
筆作りのような繊細な仕事は今後できいうふうに言われて、そこでまあ筆作りを私から取ったら何にも残らんのもまあショックじゃったけんね。
Yukihiro was advised to become an apprentice to another craftsman.
そうですね、他の人に入門するということはあまり考えられずに、父の作っている筆を後を継ぎたい、その筆を僕も作りたい、さらに超えていきたいというのがずっと自分の中の思いにありました。
Ko-Tsuyoshi gave up on his dream of becoming a brushmaker and worked at a general company. During this time, Mr. Yoshiyuki Hata endured rehabilitation, determined to be able to make brushes again. With the techniques inherited from his father, brushmaking resumed thereafter. The brush is said to have been born 3,000 years ago in China. It is believed to have been introduced to Japan approximately 1,700 years ago, along with Chinese characters. In the Heian period, the technique was brought back from China by the master craftsman Kukai. The oldest existing brush is kept at the Sosoin in Nara. During the Nara period, brushes were made by wrapping paper around the hair of deer and horses. Since then, brushes have been made not only from animal hair, but also from bird feathers, as well as from wood and grass. And now, the epitome of luxury brushes is the wool brush made from goat hair. Brushmaking begins with a selection of hair. The brushes being made are custom made for early summer. The wool used this time comes from wild goats living around the Yangtze River in China. It is hair from under the chin to the chest of males, aged over 40 years, with the skin still attached. Aging removes the fat from the hair, giving it resilience and stickiness. Wool is the life of the brush, and it is put forth with determination to meet the demands of early summer.
オーダーを受けてその人の手に合うよう、書の書き方の癖に合うよう、筆圧に合うような毛をよって、それで設計図を立てて筆を作っていくっていうことになりますね。
Following the envision blueprint, the length, gloss, stiffness, and fineness of the tip and waist are carefully selected. To maintain consistent quality, work is only carried out on clear mornings. Selected hair is wrapped in filter paper and boiled. This removes the fat from the hair and improves ink absorption. After drying, cotton wool attached to the roots is removed using a metal comb.
ふわふわした毛を取ることにより、毛のまとまり、墨含みを良くする効果があります。
If cotton wool remains, the brush will not produce clean lines when it absorbs ink. Once the cotton-like fluff is removed, the hairs become fluffy.
細かい作業こそ丁寧に妥協なくやっていくことが大事だと思います。
そうですね。一箇所でも手を抜いたらいい筆はできないんですよね。
Dust the hairs with soot. Heat them with a tool resembling an iron called fire shelter. While still hot, quickly wrap them in deerskin and carefully rub them in. Heating and rubbing removes the grease from the hairs.
墨は水分ですので、油分があると弾いてしまうので、はい、熱を使って鹿革で揉んで油分を取っていきます。
At this point, we also remove any kinks in the hair. Next, a technique is used to breathe life into the brush tip. Once the preparatory work on the hairs is done, we even out their lengths. We take small amounts of hairs at a time, aligning their direction and tips.
毛先の長さが一定ではないので、毛先が出ているところだけを取っていき、毛先を揃えるためにきれいに一列に並べていくというイメージですね。
Once the tips are somewhat aligned, we use a board to tap the tips. This is a crucial step called sakiwose.
硬い動物の毛ですと簡単に叩いてすぐ揃うんですけれども、特にえりすぐられた羊毛の良い毛は先がとても細微で細く繊細なので、なかなかこう叩いても逃げてしまったり揃えにくくなったりするので大変時間がかかります。
We tap continuously for hours to avoid damaging the tips. As a result, they are perfectly aligned, as if they were cut.
本当に墨の最初につくところ、紙の最初につくところでありますので、本当に命毛と言われる通り、毛先は筆の命だと思います。
The brush tip is metaphorically likened to parts of the human body, like the throat, stomach, and waist. It's called life hair. Once the tips are aligned, we measure the hairs to the required length. Using a tool called tsunoki, size tree, we cut the roots based on the aligned tips. We adjust the hairs according to the brush's purpose using tsunge. Once the lengths are uniform, we use a small knife to remove split ends or damaged hairs. We sharpen the spacing between the fingertips.
逆しになった毛や悪い毛があるときは手の腹に当たるっていう感覚があるんですね。チクチクと当たるような感じがありまして、それをナイフと親指で挟み取っていくという形ですね。擦れた毛、逆しになった毛、切れた毛、曲がりのある毛を抜いていってます。
We instantly discern hairs that would negatively affect the brush, leaving only the sharp tips that have never been cut. We concentrate the entirety of our focus on each hair. Hairs with defects can cause cracks and affect ink absorption.
やはり悪い毛が入ってますと割れの原因にもなりますし、墨含みも悪くなります。それからやっぱりまとまりもなくなってくるので、悪い毛はどの箇所どの場面においても取っていくようにしています。
This time, the master has prepared hairs of 5 different lengths.
5段階の毛それぞれに役割がありまして、一番長い1の毛の部分、腰になる部分などさまざまな役割が5つとも異なってあります。
We soak these hairs in water and meticulously remove any unnecessary hairs. We flatten them out, achieving a state called hirame. We mix them together to create a single brush. The brush's shape and writing feel change, depending on which hairs and how much of each are mixed. This is truly where the brushmaker's skill shines. Then comes the brush that conveys one's thoughts. Brushmaking involves a process of mixing hairs of different lengths according to early summer prevention.
出来上がりの完成をイメージして、それに対しての毛の分量を取っていき、練り合わせて一本に仕上げるという形です。
It requires considerable experience and skill to shape the ideal of early summer.
こう設計図通り自分の頭の中でやってみて、もう少し3抜けが足らんかった4抜けが足らんかったらもうほんの数本ぐらい足してやってまた練り合わすんですよね。
We mix these hairs together. This is called knead and mix, a technique for evenly mixing hairs of different lengths. We spread them out, fold them, and unfold them. It's time-consuming and labor-intensive, but it results in a high-quality brush with resilience and adhesive properties. Once the hairs are uniformly mixed, we impregnate them with glue. From there, we create the core of one brush.
やはり芯が書き味の大部分を決めると思うので、コシ、粘り、強さ、それらが含まれたところが芯になります。
We thread it through the cylinder that will become the core's thickness and shape it. We remove any unnecessary hairs. We don't overlook even the last hair remaining inside. And the core is completed. We beautifully adorn it to the finish. Thinly stretching the upper coat, also known as long and beautifully glossy hair, and winding it around the core. The role of preventing the inner hairs from protruding. On this day, Mr. Ko-Tsuyoshi visited the Yamato Museum. As he entered the hall, what appeared before him was a 1/10 scale model of the battleship Yamato. The Yamato is the largest battleship in history. Its total length was 263 meters. Built by the former Imperial Japanese Navy with the pinnacle of technology. On April 7, 1945, the Yamato was attacked by American aircraft and sank with many precious lives. Its fragmented state tells the intensity of the attack. Inside the museum, handwritten letters remain.
祖父の代が筆を作っていた時に、海兵さんが自分の最後の思いを託すために筆を買いに来たという歴史があったそうです。
Crew members use Kawajiri brushes to write their final words to their mothers and brothers who remained far away in their hometowns. This is the letter left by Rear Admiral Tamon Wamaguchi, who died in the Battle of Midway, addressed to his wife, Takaho-san. Expressing gratitude for everything until now and wishing for the safety of his wife and family amidst approaching death. Wishing for the safety of his wife and family amidst approaching death.
死を覚悟した中で最後に大切な方へ向けた思いを綴るために書かれた筆、その役割が筆にはあると思いますので、改めてまたいい筆を一本一本作っていけたらなと思います。
After this, life will be breathed into the brush. The wool brush is soon to be completed. Tighten the base of the bristles with added hemp thread. Prevent shedding by baking it firmly. Ensure that not a single bristle is shed by anchoring it firmly. Detach it from the thread and attach it to the shaft. Shave the tip to the desired thickness while rolling the shaft with a small knife. Once secured, the brush is complete. We pursue the writing field and pay attention to each individual bristle. Inherited techniques from machines are also housed within.
やはり僕たちは作って筆ができておしまいですけれども、そこから使い手の方に渡って新たな意味を持たせていただけるっていうのは本当に職人の楽しみではあります。
愛情をかけて手間暇かけて第1回目の命が吹き込まれて、そこからまた書道家の先生に使ってもらって第2の命を吹き込んでもらういうことですよね。
The brush is lowered by the calligrapher, Yamato. He says it's his first time using the brush of a high priest. A second life is breathed into the brush. The breath of early summer is transmitted to the tip of the brush, and the ink flows. Thus, a new life is breathed into the brush. What about the writing field?
素晴らしいですね。ある意味で思い通りに動いてくれる最高の傑出がなければこれで出ないでしょうね。でこれがもうちょっと使い込んでいったらどういうふうになるのかね、ちょっと怖いかなって感じますね。
The high priest began making a new brush. It's one entrusted to him by his father, who is his master. He handles only the highest quality bristles in terms of length, thinness, and luster.
数本ずつ数本ずつ20年ぐらいかかってようやくこれだけぐらいしかできないんですよね。
He says he's never been allowed to handle them until now.
こっちが認めんとあの筆はちょっと任せられるんですけどね。自分の中で認めたので今回挑戦させて作らせたんです。
This brush is the traditional sash handed down from master to disciple. And a brush made with precious bristles is completed. It's a solid proof that the tradition passed down from master to disciple has been inherited.
とにかく一生涯勉強して先生の言われる以上のものを作っていかんといけないもんですよね。
ずっとずっと続けていって常に止まることなくいいものを作り続けていくことをやめないことですかね。
A dream of a brushmaker once abandoned. That's why he learned its importance. Two young people, a father and son, envision the continuation of the dream. They open the door to tomorrow and take another step closer to their dream.